So welcome to Wednesday coding practice. I know that I've got a couple of y'all on here, and that I ask if y'all can turn on your cameras. If not, that's okay too. But I know I've got a couple of y'all that are brand new, that just started last week, week before, and you do not yet have your coding manuals. If you do have them, or when you get them, please let me know. I know some of you have not gotten them yet. Y'all should be getting them any day. I was notified when they were shipped out, which was just a couple of days after y'all started. So y'all should be getting them any day. If you do not have them by Monday, please shoot me a text message and let me know so we can go ahead and track the shipment and make sure they got sent to the right place and didn't get delivered, somewhere they weren't supposed to go. But you should have them by then. I'm hoping that they'll come in any day, any day. So in the meantime, when you're finding codes and you don't have a manual, the internet is your friend. Find a reputable site you can Google search for one, and they'll give you a list. You can even Google search for the code itself, and sometimes it'll give you the right code. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. But it'll work good enough until you get your manuals in. Okay, but for now, we're going to be working in the manuals today. We're going to be doing a little bit of CPT coding and a little bit of ICD-10 coding combined. Most of y'all are doing really good with both. Even my students who are newer that haven't been through ICD-10 yet, you guys are catching on pretty good. There's a few of y'all that I want to get with individually and kind of see your process so we can kind of fine tune it, because I'm noticing that your codes are just off just a little bit. So I'm going to be reaching out to those of y'all that I think could maybe benefit from some one-on-one. Okay, so that is short, our usual coding practice presentation. Let me Okay. And yes, I'm feeling them fall vibes. It is my favorite time of the year. I love fall and Christmas, y'all. That's my jams, fall and Christmas. So I get real themey around this time of the year. All right, so as a refresher, or for my new students, this is the basic process for finding codes in the manuals. All right, you're going to be given like maybe a sentence, maybe a phrase, maybe a whole page out of a medical record, and you're going to have to identify some key terms in there. You're looking for procedures when you're searching for CPT. You're looking for diagnosis or illness or injury when you're looking for ICD-10. Okay. So you're going to identify your key terms. You're going to locate those key terms in the alphabetic index. All right. And in the two manuals, they are in opposite ends. One of them, the alphabetic index, is in the front, and the other, it is in the back. But it is a thick gray section in both books, so it's not too hard to find. So you locate your key terms in the alphabetic index. Review the subterms under the main term in the index. When you get to your alphabetic index, you'll see that when you find what you're looking for, there will be like an indent down is what we call it. You'll see the column shift over a little bit, and it'll go down, and it'll list usually anatomic sites, parts of the body, different places where you could have that procedure done or where you could sustain that injury or illness. So keep looking down till you find the one that fits your scenario. You follow any cross-reference directions such as C. Sometimes when you get to a term, it'll tell you to see the condition or see the illness or something like that. And then you'll just go to that wherever they direct you in the index, okay? But it'll tell you where to go. You verify the code you selected in the index in the tabular section. Once you find the one that fits your scenario the best, you're going to go to the tabular section, and that's the thickest part of the book inside your sections. You're going to go to the code that it tells you, and you're going to read that code definition and decide which one is going to be the best for your purposes. Okay, and you assign codes to the highest level of specificity. And what that means is that you just get as specific as you can. Sometimes under the definitions will be like a sub definition, something that gets a little more specific. It'll indent down. And you just got to indent down as far as you need to and get as specific as you can. All right, so that's the process in a really quick nutshell for my new students. But y'all do not have manuals yet, so I'm not worried about harping on that right now. The best thing you can do is kind of just follow along with us and what we're doing. And then once you get your manuals in, if we need to get together one-on-one, we can do that to go over this a little more in depth. Okay. So let's see. So let's move straight into practice. All right, so an appendectomy on a patient with acute ruptured appendix, generalized peritonitis. All right, so it's telling us we need one CPT code and one ICD code, one diagnosis code, right? So our CPT code, and guys, if there's anybody that has their manuals and is following along, please let me know, and I will slow down and let y'all look for the codes and the pages and all that stuff. But I know most of y'all come while you're at work or in stuff and you don't have your books, so I just talk through it. If you want me to do something different, just let me know, okay? But unless you guys tell me otherwise, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk through it. All right. So our CPT code, our procedure code, is going to be the appendectomy on a patient with acute ruptured appendix, generalized peritonitis. Okay. Our ICD-10 code, let's see, peritonitis. Yeah, peritonitis. And kind of a little tip and trick for recognizing some of these guys. And as you go through the program, you'll see different places where you learn a little bit about medical terminology and different things and how to break them down. But at the end of appendectomy, ectomy, ECTOMY, that's kind of an indicator that is a medical procedure. Okay. And peritonitis ends with itis, ITIS. There's a lot of diseases and illnesses that you'll find that end with itis, and that kind of clues you into that, to the fact that is a illness or a disease. Okay, so that's one quick way of picking out your keywords. And sometimes it's really sad because sometimes they'll give you like a page of stuff that went on with that patient, and there's like one sentence like this that's relevant to what you need, right? There's a lot of fluff sometimes, so you just got to pick out what you need. All right, so on this one, we looked up for the CPT code, we went straight to appendectomy in the search, in the alphabetic index, and we ended up with code 44960. Okay, for our ICD-10 code, we looked up peritonitis, and I can't remember, I did this is last week's presentation, so I might be a little bit muddy on the details, but for peritonitis, we ended up with K35.20. It's not a code that needed to be brought out all the way to 7 characters. Okay. For my new students, real quick, your CPT code is always going to be 5 digits. Okay, it's a 5-digit number. Your ICD-10 code is going to be 1 alpha character followed by numbers, and it could be anywhere from 2 to 6 numbers behind it, depending on the code and how specific it gets. Okay, so just remember that this is the format that these codes should be should be in if you're finding them correctly, okay? CPT codes, 5 digits, ICD-10 codes, alpha character followed by digits, okay? All right, so if when y'all do go through these and y'all have questions about how I got those codes, definitely shoot me a text message and ask, and I will be more than happy to go through it step by step with you and how we got that, okay? All right, so removal of complete cerebrospinal fluid, shunt system with replacement due to congenital hydrocephalus. Okay, so our CPT code, removal is one of those keywords. Anytime you see things like removal or repair, excision, that's all I'm really coming up with off the top of my head. But there's a whole bunch of little keywords like that 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 you'll start to recognize the more you do coding. And you guys, coding is it's a practice thing, it's a repetition thing. You will, the more you do it, the more comfortable with it you will get. But it does sometimes take a little bit of time. And especially, I promise you, after you get those manuals in, it'll make a lot more sense when you're following along. All right, but so for the CPT code, we were going to look for removal of shunt system. Okay, that's going to be our area of focus for CPT, removal of the shunt system. And then it will get more specific. It'll specify down with complete cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. For the ICD-10 code, congenital hydrocephalus, right? That was what was wrong with the patient. Our CPT code is what was done to the patient or for the patient, and that was we removed the shunt system. The ICD-10 code is the why. Why did we do that for that patient? Because they had congenital hydrocephalus, okay? So you start with hydrocephalus. For the ICD-10 code, you start with hydrocephalus in your alphabetic index, and it will lead you, for your CPT code, it'll lead you to 62258, and your ICD-10 code will be Q03.9. Okay. And for both books, guys, for both manuals, the process is the same. You will look it up in the alphabetic index, and then you will go to the chapters, the tabular section, to specify which code it is, okay? And because sometimes it's you always verify. You never stop at the alphabetic index. Always verify, okay? All right, so primary rhinoplasty, including major septal repair due to deviated nasal septum acquired. All right, so primary rhinoplasty. Plasty is another one of those keywords that medical terms end in that means it's a procedure. Okay, so that kind of gives me a hint on the CPT code. And also for my new students, if y'all are not that familiar with medical terminology, don't let that overwhelm you or scare you off by any means. You will hear me trip over words and say things wrong all the time, and that's okay. I do not have a medical degree. I didn't go to medical school, and neither are y'all. So we're not expected to know everything. We just need to know how to find it in the manual. That's all. We just need to know what to look for in that manual to find what we need. Okay. And also, don't worry about memorizing a code. You will never need to memorize a code. They can change from year to year. So memorizing them is not the point of coding. Learning how to use the manual to find the code that you need is the point. Okay. So don't worry about having to remember codes. All right. So primary rhinoplasty is going to be our procedure. That is what was done for the patient, right? Including major septal repair due to a deviated nasal septum. So that means our ICD-10 code, what was wrong with that patient? Was a deviated nasal septum. And due to is kind of one of those phrases to look for. That's going to kind of let you know about your keywords too. This is what we did because of. Due to is the same as because of a deviated nasal septum. Okay, so you look for primary, you look for rhinoplasty in your alphabetic index of your CPT coding book, and it'll lead you to code 30420. In your ICD-10 code, you will look for probably maybe deviated septum, possibly even nasal septum. You could probably go either way. It kind of, one of the other things about coding for my new ones, there's always more than one way to get to the right code. So if you start with the wrong keyword, that's okay. That's normal. I still do it, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So sometimes you start with the wrong word, that's okay. Sometimes even if you start with the wrong word, you will get to the right answer anyway. There are all kind of instances in coding where you can start from multiple points as far as keywords and get to the correct place, get to the correct code, okay? So for our primary rhinoplasty, our CPT code is going to be 30420. And for our deviated nasal septum acquired, it is going to be ICD-10 code J34.2. Okay. I didn't do anything too crazy as far as the ICD-10 codes, as far as having to bring them out to the 7th character, or add placeholders or anything like that in this practice, because to kind of accommodate our newer students, they're already going to be thrown off a little bit. So I thought that adding that in their first practice session was kind of mean. So we'll they can be traumatized by ICD-10 a little bit later. I'm just kidding. It's not that traumatic, y'all. It's really not that bad. But I think that is it. Yeah, 3 good examples with ICD-10 and CPT. And again, guys, when y'all are later on, when you get home from work and you're going through these, if you have any questions, please, as always, you can get with me and we'll go over it. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for today. Finish up your module. We're wrapping that up. And that's pretty much it. Look for that new module. I should be opening that up maybe tonight or tomorrow, possibly. Tonight's probably a little ambitious. I've got some other things I need to do. So probably tomorrow, 155 will be available and open. And for my new students, just remember that once Friday gets here, instead of clicking into 154, you will start clicking into 155, as long as you're done with it. But y'all should, if y'all are working daily like you're supposed to be doing, you'll be caught up on your assignments and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So any questions, concerns, anything as far as coding, anything we talked about today? My new ones, I know it's probably Greek right now, and that's okay. That's normal. It'll become clearer in the next few weeks as things go on. Anybody else have any questions, concerns, anything they need clarification on? No, I know most of y'all joined me from work. Let me make sure there's nothing in the chat before we go. I'm not seeing anything in chat. All right, guys, if y'all don't have anything else for me today, that's all I've got for y'all. But as always, thank y'all so much for your time and coming. And I appreciate it a lot. And I hope that y'all get something from these meetings, that y'all go back later and maybe follow along. And I explain it well enough to where you can catch on to things. But again, I'm always here if you have questions, extra questions. So, all righty. Well, you guys have a lovely evening, and hopefully I will see y'all tomorrow at 4 at our regularly scheduled weekly class meeting. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Keena.
Grab my Zoom.